by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wiles. Greg Jennings is with us on a Thursday morning. Coming up, Belichick finally answers the one question everybody has been asking. What the heck is Jadeveon Clowney thinking? That's not the question. It's a different question. And Baker is talking about how he wants to do less talking. That's where we start this morning with our rewarding performance, sponsored by Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet? Yeah, let's talk some Browns, guys. Just like last year, the Browns enter this season with a ton of hype and a boatload of expectations. But unlike last year, this time around, Baker Mayfield appears to have learned from last year's miserable season. He's got a different outlook heading into a pivotal year 3. Take a listen to this.
I have a different approach to this year. I think it's everybody that has been interviewed in our team has kind of, hit the nail on the head over and over about, it's just time to work. It's time to do our thing instead of talking about it. So this is the first media thing I've done just because there's no need to be talking about it. It's just time to go do it. And right now it's, kind of moving in silence, which is fine with me.
Nick, kind of like what I was saying heading into last season, right? Talk less, do more, and then you can talk all you want once you prove yourself. What do you make of what Baker had to say there?
Well, I think last season humbled him a bit. I think Baker's response would be he did quite a bit last year. Took over a team that had won 1 game in the previous 2 seasons, set the all-time rookie touchdown record, and so the commercials were warranted. Some of the hype was warranted. What happened to the Browns last year was twofold. They had the worst head coach in the NFL, and Baker was a turnover machine. And so, listen, I know a lot of people want professional athletes to either be humbled or pretend to be humble, even though they have been super high achievers, 1%ers in talent and work ethic their entire lives. And Baker had, up until this past season, no reason to be humble. He was a walk-on that succeeded, then was a walk-on that won the Heisman, then became the #1 pick, then took over a moribund franchise, got them damn near to 500, and set the rookie touchdown record. So I don't begrudge Baker Mayfield the swagger that he had going into last season. I would begrudge it if he continued that swagger going into this season. After last year, he was a huge part of the problem. But he seems to understand that at this point, he's at maybe a bit of a crossroads in his career because life can come at you fast in that regard. And he doesn't need to add any additional pressure expectations on a team that is in a critical juncture with all this young talent that can quickly become underachieving young talent if they do what they did last year again this year, Wilds.
Well, first of all, Nick, I have to congratulate you with using the term moribund franchise. Loved it. So that was excellent. That was the highlight of that answer for me. I think that, you know what they say, happiness is expectations over reality. And Greg, I thought this was interesting because Baker had basically saying there's an implicit reason that they failed is because he did too much media. So there's this, Jenna, you'll like this. In the old Seinfeld documentary, Seinfeld is introduced onto the stage as the funniest man in America, Jerry Seinfeld. He goes up on stage and he bombs, and he comes off the stage and he's furious. He's like, you can't introduce me as the greatest comedian in America. All the audience is just going to sit back and be like, yeah, we'll see. So that's kind of what Baker is saying. He's saying that the expectations were too high, there was too much talk. And I think that's funny, Greg, where you always hear about failure in football or setbacks in football being a lot of hard factors. We ran the wrong plays, we had the wrong personnel, we had the worst coach in the league. But Baker seems to be implying that it was the hard factors, but it was also these soft factors. So I was surprised to hear him admit that the outside noise actually affected his play.
Well, to what you just said, I would bounce back and say that I don't think he meant that the expectations were too high. I don't think anyone on that team would have ever said or would ever admit to the expectations being too high. But what he's saying is that there's times where he could have just been quiet along with some of his teammates, and it starts with him. And what that looks like isn't the commercials, isn't so much not doing media. It's just being smart in managing your words, thinking through what you're going to say, and understanding what you say is going to literally have a direct impact on more than just yourself. So I think that's the approach. And I think, fortunately for Baker as well as the Cleveland Browns and all of his teammates, this pandemic has suited them very well. It's kept them behind out from in front of the cameras, I should say, and able to just work, because that's what everyone is doing. They're just working. And I think this is what a team that is so young needs. Just show me your work. Show me versus telling me. Your actions will speak a lot louder than your words. And I love his approach right now.
Yeah, so listen, I know I'm going to be a man on an island on this, and that's fine. I think Baker's just saying what he knows the media wants to hear. I think Baker knows there was a narrative that for some reason doing a 12-hour commercial shoot with an insurance company in the middle of July was the reason he threw 1 million interceptions. So he's like, fine, I'll just say it. You guys want me to say it, so I'll say it. And then people will say it's a new Baker Mayfield. There was one time last year when Baker had comments that I think could have legitimately had a negative effect on his team's ability to win. And that was when he was blaming the refs after one game or two games, saying the refs are always going to be against us, instead of looking towards his own performance. The refs didn't make him fumble the football. The refs didn't make him throw interceptions. But aside from that, you know who was in as many commercials as Baker Mayfield last year? That guy. He was all over television. Nobody gave a damn because they won the Super Bowl. And so, like, this idea that it was Baker's beef with Tony Grossi, the local media guy, and the fact that he spent a couple days shooting ads is why the Browns stunk. It just, maybe it's that. Or maybe we should go to Occam's razor. The most obvious answer is probably the right one. Maybe it was because their coach stunk, their quarterback couldn't stop turning the ball over, and the most talented player on their team bonked somebody on the head with a helmet and got kicked out of the league for the rest of the year. Maybe it's that, or maybe it was his commercial load and his press conferences. I'm going to go with the former over the latter.
All right, well, no matter what Baker says at this point, guys, and he clearly doesn't want to be saying a lot, the team knows, fans know, this is a pivotal year for him. He had great first year to warrant the top overall pick. Subpar second year, we talked about it, highlighted by those 21 interceptions. And so now heading into year 3, even Baker can't doubt how important this season is for his future in Cleveland. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, there's no doubt year 3 is always a big year in these contracts, and timing wise, everybody knows that. But I'm not going to put any added pressure on myself. There's no need for that, because if I win, good things will happen. Good things will happen for our team and the guys around me. If I play better, our team's going to do better. So I put that pressure on myself, and so it doesn't matter what year it is. I have to play better each year.
Yeah, Nick, the Browns go as Baker goes. Everyone seems to know that. What do you make of what he had to say?
Well, listen, the year 3 for a first-round pick, when after this year they decide if they're going to pick up your 5th-year option, and the GM who drafted you is gone, you're going to be on your 4th different head coach, damn straight it's a big year. Like, Baker Mayfield, after that great rookie season, could be a guy who you wonder if he's going to even get a second contract with the Browns if this year doesn't go well. So I understand the idea that every year is a critical year, but it's a different type of pressure if you're under a brand new contract, or if this is the year that will determine potentially if you get a brand new contract and if all your rabbis have left the building, so to speak. So that I totally agree with. This is, with Dorsey gone, and obviously Hugh Jackson, and then Todd Haley, and then Freddie Kitchens all gone. There's no one in management that is tied to Baker Mayfield. There's no one in management that if he fails, they failed, because he wasn't their guy. So I totally agree with that, 1,000% Wild.
Yeah, when you look at the first-round quarterbacks, Nick, there was 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round, and there's a direct connection to how stable their environment was and how well they're doing. If we could show the graphic, Baker's on his 4th head coach, like you mentioned, right? Hugh, Greg, Freddie Kitchens, and now Kevin Stefanski. Sam Darnold's had Todd Bowles and Adam Gase. Josh Allen's doing great. Guess what? He's had Sean McDermott the whole time. Josh Rosen, who knows what's going on? He had two coaches in Arizona. Now he's at Brian Flores. He's probably going to have another coach in a little while here. And Lamar Jackson's just had one. So this is not Baker's fault. But, Nick, you're right. There's so much turnover. The guy's all by himself, Greg. I think this is a pivotal year for him to prove that he can succeed no matter what environment he's in.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, that last statement. Regardless of the environment now, it's on Baker. And I think this is what year 3 is all about. The first year you get a pass because you are a rookie. The second year, it's the quarterback slump, the second year slump, the sophomore slump, all of those things. So you kind of get a pass because now teams have prepared for you. They've seen your tape, what you put out there, and they can prepare accordingly. The third year, for any player, let alone a quarterback, it's now on you. I don't care how many coaching changes. We are going to see who you are because you've shown us now what your trends of consistency is. It's either you're going to trend up or you're trending down. There is no middle ground because in middle ground, you get replaced. And so Baker understands this. It's no longer about who he doesn't have as far as a play caller, who he doesn't have as far as skilled guys. He's had now Jarvis Landry for a couple years. He's going to have now Odell Beckham for a couple years. He's going to get back his tight end and Njoku. So he has pieces. It's about him and his play. He understands that. And I think he's going to be tremendous this year.
And right off the bat, at least he appears to be doing it the right way. Prove it before you come out and say it. We'll see. Take a break. Coming up, hey.